Can you believe it? I'm back with another video. It's been forever. I will do a book review today, but before I get started, I want to talk about something that's been in the news that I'm sure you've all heard of by now. The lady on the bus that the children were taunting the bus monitor. I was watching the video today. I'd heard about it, I think, a day or two ago, and today was the day I watched it. And I found it really disturbing. The children, first of all, bullying in and of itself shows a complete lack of respect. But to do it to an authority figure shows that you have no respect for anyone at all. It's especially someone I can see if a kid is having a real problem with an adult bullying him or her, and then decides, okay, I'm going, and then they lash out. Like it's still wrong, but I can understand it. In this case, this was a gang of kids ganging up, bullying, not just saying, I'm upset with you and I don't like you because you did this and you're mean to me. No, this had nothing to do with any of that. They were picking on this poor woman for nothing relevant at all. The poor woman was crying. It broke my heart to watch because as the more she cried, the more they picked on her, and it really got to me. I couldn't finish watching it. I actually saw another video that a kid the same age did, and he said, that he was apologizing for people his age and the way they've behaved, and he feels like he owes an apology for his entire age group. I just, want to say to him, honey, you don't need to apologize. You obviously have a lot of um, upsetment. I don't think is a word, but we'll go with that. Um, hurt because of what this happened. This obviously bothered you enough. You are a good enough person that you know that this was wrong. I don't think that putting more laws in place is going to help, which is what they're trying to say, but because that never really seems to work. But I think if kids like that boy stand up for people who are being taunted, it in front of these other kids, it might help a little bit. And I understand at that age it's a tough age, you stand up for someone who's getting picked on and you get picked on too. But if more kids do it, it may help. And it's not all kids that age. I know it's not. I work with kids that age, and I've never had a problem where they were like that. Yeah, they get disrespectful sometimes, but they're not like that at all. This was completely this was abuse. This was complete verbal abuse, and I feel terrible, and my heart goes out to that woman. And I think, any of you out there who maybe have kids that age or um maybe are recently out of that age bracket or maybe even in that age bracket still, it's something to think about and to discuss with people about how to stop things like this from happening again. And I would like to see this woman be happy. But the boy whose video I watched actually, I do disagree with him in the sense that I don't wish ill on these children in the future. I hope that this is actually a learning experience for them. I hope they learn from it and grow and become better people because what they're getting now, the media attention that's everywhere because of them, is their punishment. They are getting completely punished. It's come out in the entire world, and I'm sure they're embarrassed, that they should be embarrassed. And I'm sure they are because they're known as those kids who did that horrible thing, and it's probably bad with their peers and their parents and everybody. Anyway, moving on from that, it was on my mind, and I wanted to talk about it and just show my support for the lady who experienced that. Anyway, moving on. Book time. A few years ago, I read this book that I really enjoyed. Now, I distinguish between women's books or books about women and girly books. There are books about women that are feminist in nature, and I tend to enjoy those. But some of them are just sort of girly books. I don't usually like girly books. I really enjoy the more feminist books. Some of them are, some of them aren't. But this one in particular I really enjoyed because it's historical fiction, and I'm sure some of you've seen the movie and probably read the book as well. The Other Boleyn Girl. Oh, there we go. There is a terrible glare from my glasses. We don't want that to happen. It's very good. It is not all factual because we don't know all of the historical information. We don't know everything that happened with Mary and Anne Boleyn in their personal lives. So the author takes a lot of theories that people have out there, that people have put out there about what actually happened, and she made a story out of it. Could it be entirely true? It absolutely could. Is it? Probably not. So don't take it as historical fact entirely. Some of it, a lot of it is fact. The whole thing with Anne and her brother, won't get into that. You can read about that. That is gross, and I hope it didn't actually happen. But it may have. That's historical. That's on record as well that it may have happened. Basically, the story is about siblings. It's about Mary and Anne Boleyn and their brother. And Anne Boleyn, as I'm sure you all know, was one of the wives of Henry VIII, the mother of the great Queen Elizabeth. And you may not know, Mary was her younger sister. Mary was the mistress of Henry VIII, and eventually, and had a couple of children with him. And she, she's a young girl, so she's all enthralled with him and thinks that they're going to have this wonderful, life together. And then Anne sort of takes over and weasels her way in, and eventually even becomes Queen of England. And that's when a lot of chaos starts. There's a lot of scandal. There's a lot of sibling rivalry, but they still love each other, which I like. I like the fact that even though in the midst of all of the problems, there's still, that love is still there. And there's a lot of scandal as far as what the Queen's motives are. There's also the situation of Queen Catherine, who Anne pretty much usurped in a way, and her expulsion, and that's very interesting. And the story itself, it takes place, well, you would know, in the 1500s, and Anne, you can see where Anne is really a conniving person. It doesn't really show her as that much of a loving, caring, good queen. She is more of a conniver. She wants what's best for Anne. Mary, on the other hand, is very loving and wants just to be loved and be happy, and unfortunately was born into this family and has experienced a lot of problems because of it. It's hard to kind of go with the plot line because the book is so big. Well, it's not that big, but it's big enough that I can't do it in 10 minutes. And also there's so much to it, and a lot of it is historical, so a lot of it you already know, and I don't want to bore you with it. But it's a very good book. I'd give it an 8, which is pretty good for me, out of 10. It's very interesting. I couldn't put it down. I liked the relationship between the sisters and the brother, and his issue, the thought that he's probably gay, which was scandalous at the time. We now know that it's not. But it's not scandalous now. At the time, it was scandalous. Um, and I think that if you appreciate books about historical events, if you like books about family, if you like books about women, because it also shows the way the men in Anne and Mary's family have controlled what's going on with them, and they don't like the fact that Anne is taking some sort of charge. It really shows the dominance that men have had throughout the years, and it shows what they've had to overcome, which I really enjoy. And I enjoy family sorts of plots. Anyway, go pick it up if it sounds good to you. I will warn you, there's some harsh language, and there's some murder and beheadings and other general nastiness. But anyway, if you want to, I'll show it to you again. If you want to read it, Philippa Gregory's The Other Boleyn Girl. Till next time.